There is no need to chase, no need to beg, no need to demand attention. The most powerful way to make anyone think about you is to control the image they hold of you by mastering the one you hold of yourself. You are not meant to run after thoughts in their mind. You are meant to command your presence so strongly in your own that they cannot help but feel you in theirs. Thought is energy. Feeling is transmission. When you sit still and truly assume that you are unforgettable, you begin to echo in the minds of those you focus on. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to be in their presence. You just have to believe that your presence is powerful enough to travel without effort. When you imagine yourself as desired, admired, unforgettable, what you are really doing is planting a seed in consciousness. The moment you feel it as real, you broadcast it. You're not hoping they think of you. You're declaring it. You're seeing it. You're knowing it. And because all minds are connected through the invisible realm of feeling, they receive that signal. Suddenly, they remember a moment with you out of nowhere. Suddenly, they hear your voice in a quiet room. They check their phone, expecting to see your name. Why? Because you sent yourself there and thought first. And thought, when it's felt deeply, never misses its mark. You must carry yourself like someone who is already unforgettable. Think of how you would move, how you would speak, how you would act if you knew for certain that they couldn't stop thinking about you. That confidence becomes magnetic. That certainty becomes influence. You don't ask for attention. You radiate it. You don't ask to be remembered. You decide that you already are. Every day in silence, impress your image upon the canvas of reality. See yourself walking through their thoughts like a dream they can't shake. Smile as if they're thinking of you in this very moment, because energetically they are. This is not manipulation, it is creation. This is not control, it is alignment. You are not forcing their mind. You are awakening a memory that already exists in the field of possibility. The moment you declare yourself wanted, the world begins to rearrange around that belief. Stay in that vibration long enough and you won't just cross their mind, you'll live in it. They'll feel your absence like a missing note in a favorite song. They won't understand why, but you will, because you were never chasing them. You were simply choosing yourself so fully, so consistently, that the rest of the world couldn't help but follow. So stop wondering what they're thinking. Start deciding what they must feel. Walk like they're watching. Speak like they're listening. Think like you're unforgettable, because you are. Reality doesn't respond to doubt. It responds to conviction. If you want them to think about you nonstop, you must first think of yourself as someone worth being obsessed with. Not from arrogance, but from truth. The truth that you are worthy, magnetic, powerful, and rare. Stay in that energy. Hold it, protect it, become it. They'll think about you. They won't know why. But the answer will live inside you. You created it first. You never have to beg someone to notice you when you understand your true value. Attraction doesn't begin with their eyes, it begins with your belief. When you rise in your own mind, you rise in theirs. People don't think about what's available to everyone, they think about what leaves a mark. You become unforgettable not by chasing, but by choosing yourself so completely that your absence creates silence. There is a difference between being seen and being felt. When you feel yourself as significant, the energy carries further than any message or gesture ever could. Stop thinking you have to do more. You just have to be more rooted in your power. Your presence becomes a frequency. It speaks for you. The version of you that knows their worth will never go noticed. Remember, attention follows energy. When you withdraw need and stand in knowing, others begin to feel the loss of something they never even had yet. That is influence without effort. The greatest influence isn't loud, it's silent, internal, and vibrational. When you hold a vision of yourself as captivating, others sense something different in your aura. You don't need to scream your name. Your inner knowing sends the message before you ever enter the room. The world responds not to what you say, but to what you believe. The one who truly sees themselves doesn't worry about being seen. The silence becomes louder than any words. This is the essence of energetic communication. You can walk away without saying anything and still be the only thought in someone's mind. Because what you deeply feel within yourself imprints the energy around you. That's not a fantasy, it's a creative act. Influence begins in imagination. Sustain that feeling and watch the outer world follow the script. There's no need to convince. The frequency will speak on your behalf, and they won't be able to ignore it, even if they don't know why. When you carry yourself as someone unforgettable, people start to behave as if you are. Energy doesn't lie. When you feel worthy, you walk differently. You speak with more authority. You make eye contact with a presence that stays long after you've looked away. Most try to impress others by doing, but the secret is in being. Be convinced of your value, and that conviction will echo in every space you occupy. Others feel it before they understand it. It's not what you say, it's what they feel in your silence. You don't need to decorate yourself with noise. Power is stillness wrapped in certainty. When you understand this, your very existence becomes a reminder to others of what they can't forget. You don't take up space, you define it. And once you do, people can't help but notice, reflect, and return to the feeling you've imprinted. Your imagination is not a playground, it's a command center. The images you hold of yourself become blueprints for how others see you. So instead of wondering if they're thinking of you, focus on seeing yourself as unforgettable. When you feel that image vividly, confident, admired, magnetic, it begins to impress itself on the invisible field of consciousness. People begin to receive that signal without knowing why. They remember you without effort. They dream of you without invitation, not because you're chasing their attention, but because you've mastered the inner broadcast. This is not fantasy, this is law. Feel it often enough and it becomes a reality. When your internal vision is stronger than the external doubt, you become someone others can't unsee. Their thoughts bend around your certainty. Their emotions react to your consistency. And all you ever had to do was feel it first. When you carry a powerful feeling, you send out a message without needing words. That's the essence of energy. Feeling is the frequency that transmits beyond physical limits. If you want to be unforgettable, you must first feel unforgettable. Not sometimes, but constantly. Not from ego, but from alignment. The heart speaks louder than noise. The feeling of certainty is more influential than anything you could post, say, or show. People respond to what you radiate. When you feel deeply valued, others begin to mirror that back. This isn't magic, it's vibration. You're not waiting to be seen. You're standing in the knowing that you already are. When you anchor yourself in powerful emotion, others begin to sense something they can't explain. And that's the beginning of obsession. They won't know why they keep returning to thoughts of you, but you will. Because you chose the feeling first. You don't have to be next to someone to be felt. You don't even need to speak to them to leave an impact. Presence isn't limited to location, it's an energy field. When you commit to seeing yourself as unforgettable, you begin to live in their thoughts regardless of time or distance. It's not about being loud, it's about being deep. A deep presence lingers. It weaves itself into memory. And that's what you are becoming when you hold yourself with reverence and focus. You stop chasing people because you've already arrived in their subconscious. The self who knows their power doesn't need to explain it. Their energy makes the introductions. The old you needed proof. The new you gives proof through belief. When you learn how to stay consistent in your self-concept, your presence travels further than your body ever could. That's when people start to feel your energy even in silence. You're always sending a message to the world whether you mean to or not. Every thought you think about yourself becomes a signal. Every emotion you hold becomes a broadcast. The question is not whether they're thinking of you, it's whether you're thinking of yourself in a way that demands to be felt. When you hold yourself in high esteem, others begin to shift without you needing to say a thing. You plant seeds in their mind not by force, but by frequency. The more deeply you believe in your worth, the more clearly they feel your value. It's a mirror effect. People only give back what you first offered to yourself. So if you want them to keep returning to thoughts of you, start by returning to your highest vision of yourself again and again. That repetition builds a presence that won't be forgotten. The thoughts you feed yourself are the same ones that begin to echo in others. What you rehearse mentally becomes a broadcast that shapes perception. If you keep seeing yourself as someone powerful, magnetic, admired, others begin to think those thoughts too, without even realizing where they came from. You become a mental imprint, not because you tried to force your way into their minds, but because you trained your own so well. It's the inside work that echoes externally. People respond to consistency. If you continue to hold the image of yourself as unforgettable, reality bends around it. Your energy enters the room before you do. They'll hear your name and feel something. They'll think of you and pause. That's the power of the mental seeds you've been planting all along. We remember what moves us emotionally, not what's loud, not what's constant, but what makes us feel something real. So if you want to live in someone's thoughts, learn how to be felt without trying. Show up in your own mind as someone who matters deeply. Create an emotional presence in yourself that is so real, others can't ignore it. When you anchor yourself in love, certainty, power, or peace, you create a vibrational signature. And that signature gets stored in others like a favorite memory. They return to it, not because you asked, but because you created a feeling too strong to forget. Feelings last longer than facts. Energy leaves fingerprints. When you become an emotional experience, you become unforgettable. You don't need to do more to be remembered. You need to believe more. The strongest presence is not built by performance, but by alignment. You show up fully in your own energy, and the world begins to respond. Stop diluting yourself to be digestible. Stop shrinking to be accepted. When you embody your full truth unapologetically, people remember you for it. They feel the confidence. They sense the clarity. And it creates a contrast too strong to ignore. When everyone else is trying to impress, you simply express. That difference is magnetic. Let your belief in yourself become so solid, so unmoved, that others begin to orbit around your certainty. And soon they won't be able to get you off their mind, not because you forced them to, but because your presence left a mark on their spirit. You don't need to convince people to think about you when you live like someone who already matters. Most people try to be memorable by trying to be liked, but lasting impressions are made by those who are unapologetically themselves. You become unforgettable when you embrace your uniqueness and stop conforming to expectations. The world doesn't remember duplicates, it remembers the original. And the more you stand firm in your individuality, the more you ignite curiosity in others. It's not about doing what's different just for attention, it's about doing what's true to you, even when no one's watching. Authenticity makes people stop and think. The world moves fast, but energy that is real makes it pause. When you stand in your truth, you become the interruption to someone's routine thoughts. That's what stays with them. They think of you because you reminded them of something they didn't know they were missing. Your presence becomes a signal, not just a shadow. And once they felt it, they keep coming back to it because it's rare. The power isn't in getting them to talk to you, it's in getting them to think of you even when you're silent. Silence can be more commanding than noise when it's filled with presence. Don't underestimate the weight of quiet confidence. When you stop chasing people and retreat into your own energy with strength, Others feel the shift. They notice your absence differently when it's wrapped in certainty. You don't need closure, explanation, or validation when you trust the influence of your inner world. They may try to fill the space you once occupied, but the echo remains, because your silence wasn't empty, it was charged. That's what makes them think. It's not your words they miss, it's the energy you carry. And when you stop forcing your way into someone's life and simply exist with unshakable belief, you become unforgettable by default. You're no longer noise in the background, you become the silence they can't ignore. Every time you doubt your ability to be remembered, remind yourself that impact isn't about impressing, it's about imprinting. You leave a mark by how you make people feel, not by how much you show them. People forget faces and conversations, but they rarely forget emotion. If you want to stay in someone's mind, leave them better than you found them. Bring warmth, certainty, or inspiration so deeply that their nervous system remembers you. You don't need perfect timing or perfect words, you need presence. Even a single moment of true connection lasts longer than weeks of surface interaction. When you align with love, clarity, or inner power, you transmit that energy into every exchange. That's what people carry with them. That's what they replay in their thoughts. Become an emotion, not just a memory. Be the reason they pause in silence, not the noise they scroll past. And trust that your energy is working long after the moment ends. You don't manifest someone thinking of you by obsessing over them. You do it by obsessing over the version of you they can't resist. The focus must shift. The center of power is not in their mind and their body. Become so anchored in your self-image that you begin to reshape theirs without speaking. They'll feel the change in you before you even reconnect. When you mentally rehearse yourself as desired, admired, and unforgettable, you generate the emotional momentum that turns into memory. You don't even have to see them again. They'll think of you the moment your energy shifts. Because all things are connected in the invisible realm of thought and emotion. When you elevate your belief about yourself, you affect how others feel you. That's not coincidence, it's resonance. The inner work becomes the outer influence. And soon, they won't be able to explain why you keep coming to mind, but you'll know. Because you created it first. Attraction isn't about pulling others in, it's about drawing yourself up. When you rise in your identity, everything around you must respond. Make it your mission to become so deeply aligned with your own greatness that your very essence stays with people. You don't need to remind them of your worth when your life reflects it. You don't have to make them see you when you already see yourself clearly. The higher you hold yourself, the more noticeable your presence becomes. People are drawn to light. When you radiate from a place of peace and self-respect, you no longer chase love, you attract thought. You become the subject of conversations you didn't start. You become the reason someone pauses mid-sentence. And the moment they wonder about you, you've already won. Because you weren't trying to be remembered, you were simply living like someone who is impossible to forget.